All right, just trying to see if we get this going. I apologize. I don't know what happened. I'm trying to see. I'm streaming both the Facebook and YouTube, and so one of them is usually a little bit behind the other one. And it looks like we are all on now. I apologize for whatever happened a few minutes ago. If you were with me and we got disconnected, I am so sorry. Later on, I may go back through and make sure that other video gets wiped off. But my computer, I don't know what happened. First time said something went wrong, disconnected us, and we're back on. But hey, there's a few of you over the different channels right now, and so we will just get going. Hey, wanted to thank you if you joined us yesterday online. I appreciate the all of you who were communicating inside of our chat. I got an opportunity to go back and read over some of those between yesterday and today, and I've tried to reach out to most of you personally, and man, I just thank you. I thank you so much for joining us, for communicating there. It is an encouragement to me when I see that people are actually there, paying attention, and are engaged in our service, and man, even more importantly, if you're not really engaged with me, that you're engaging with each other. And I love seeing that. It puts a smile on my face. And when I'm able to go back and see all that's happening, it really is an encouragement and keeps me going for the next week. But what I even love even more is the interaction that I'm seeing as we high five each other throughout the week, right? And so as you all are reaching out to 5 people every week, and I hear about that because as I call people and communicate, they're like, man, so-and-so called me, or I've been blessed because people in the church have called and reached out. And so I'm going to encourage you to continue doing that. If you know somebody who is disconnected right now because they're not on the internet and they're not able to join on some of these things, I'm going to encourage you to really reach out to those people. All right. And so, hey, I thank you again so much. And like I told you yesterday and a little bit last week, we started a new series called Devoted, and we are going to be talking about what it means to be devoted for the next few weeks, both in our Sunday mornings and during our weekly times where I just chat with you for a few minutes. And hey, the really cool thing that I'm going to really try to do that I think may be of even more benefit is I'm just going to throw out papers with questions and some scriptures for you to read every day. And I'm going to encourage you to track along with that. And so you can do them every day. You can do them every other day. You can do them however you want to. We're going to throw them out there. And mostly it'll be every day. There may be some weeks or some days that we don't get something on there. And it just may be just because of the subject material during that week, we may have a little bit less. But we're going to try to do something every day. And every day a video, and every day something for you all to track along with. Here's where I think it'd be really cool is if you are inside of your small groups, that you discuss those things. So if you meet in small group tomorrow, you may only be able to discuss what we did today. But then next week, you'll be able to discuss those things in between there, plus what happened on Sunday as well. And so we'll preach on something on Sunday, and then we will talk about that throughout the rest of the week to go a little bit deeper, maybe to have more application. And that's where those things, those daily things, those papers that you can either just think about in your head, or what I would do is get a notebook or a journal, or open up something there on your computer, whether it's your notes or your a Word document or something, and just kind of track through that. Or if you handwrite, or if you draw, man, I know there's some of you who are fantastic artists. If you can draw something that kind of depicts what we've been tracking with, if you can put that. And here's what I really love is whether it's drawing or painting or writing or thoughts, if you can share some of that stuff to back to our page, right? Just put it on your page. You can share it to wholechristian.org, or I'm sorry, the Whole Christian Facebook page. That would be the coolest thing, because we'll be able to see that and have them along with us as well. And I think that'll be an encouragement to all of us. And so, number one, go through those personal studies. Number two, if you're in a small group, make sure that you're continuing to do those. If you are not in a small group and you want to be, I know there's some groups that are meeting on Zoom, or we can create some new ones. And so if you want to do that, get a hold of me. Either shoot me a message right here on this page, whether it's YouTube or Facebook that you're on, or at Conrad@wholechristian.org. or if you just go to our website, right? The website, right? If I can figure out my hands on this camera, right? If you go to that website, you'll be able to hit the contact us page and send something. And Rhonda, when she gets that, will pass that on to me. And so, yeah, however you want to get a hold of us, if you want to be in a small group and you're not, I encourage you to do that. Also, that address, wholechristian.org, if you need prayer requests or praises or just want more general information, man, check that out. And there's always stuff on there. But today, right? Let's get to today. Today, I just wanted to chat about some questions that I've been asked before, right? That really are bare minimums. I don't know this or not, but at one time I was a pharmaceutical sales rep. I did that for a couple years, and I can still remember that interview process. Right? Number one is there was a resume that I had to fill out. Right? That we had to. They want to know who I was and what I've done. Here's the thing is that I was filling out a resume for a position that I really had no business applying for. I was an electrician out of high school, and so that really had nothing to do with pharmaceuticals or sales, right? So technically, right, especially the sales of talking to doctors. I then went to college, but my degree was in Christian ministries. It was a double major, Christian ministries and Bible theology, which really didn't equate well in my mind to pharmaceutical sales. But I had a friend who convinced me, hey, fill it out, see what happens. And as I was looking, it had those minimum requirements, right? And those bare minimums were this, a bachelor's degree, which I had. I was able to check that off. So many years in sales. And I thought, man, if I fudge what I've done experience-wise, maybe I can do that. But there were some leadership qualities and working on your own qualities. And there was all this list of minimum requirements to apply for the job. And I think I checked one. It was that I had a bachelor's degree. Yeah, major in Bible theology and Christian ministries, but it works, right? It passed the bare minimum test, right? And then as I began talking with through the interview process, right, I constantly was asking, what is the minimum? In that interview process for that, there were times where I had to take tests. There were 2 or 3 tests in the interview process where they would give me information, tell me, go home, study it, learn it, and you're going to then get tests. And there is a minimum that you have to hit in order for you to go on to the next step. And so I constantly was understanding what those minimums were for me to move on. As we went through training, there was tests that there was a minimum you have to go through. And maybe I'm sure a lot of you have had those same type of things as well. When we went to school, what's the minimum requirement in order for me to pass this class? The minimum requirement for me to move on to the next grade. The minimum requirement if you play sports to maintain eligibility, right? I remember so many times in high school saying, it's not great, but it's passing, right? It keeps me on the field, or it keeps me being able to participate in this sport or participate in this extracurricular activity. Bare minimums. I think sometimes, though, we like to think that those bare minimums, we sometimes place them higher on ourselves than somebody else does. Right? We think the bare minimum in order to be successful is straight A's. When maybe we don't need to be perfect at everything. We just need to grasp knowledge. We need to learn how to become students, how to learn how to think on our own. And maybe that's the bigger process than that minimum grade. Maybe, just maybe, the bare minimums that we place on ourselves, the standards that we place on ourselves are higher than what other people would place on us. Whether it's being a husband or a wife or a child or a dad, right? That what do we have to do? I remember when I first became a dad, I thought the things that I was have to do was going to be so overwhelming, right? The don't let your kids sleep in bed with you, or feed them this way, or cloth diapers versus regular diapers. And man, you want to know what the minimum was for me as a dad? It was to love my kids, and everything else after that was going to begin to fall into line. I began to learn that really, really fast. In some ways, in other ways, I beat myself up. And I'd like to think that if I was more focused on simply loving, some of those other things wouldn't have stressed me out as much. And there would have been moments in my life with them that I would have been able to simply just enjoy life. The same way that walked with in my Christian walk, right? With my walk with Christ, is that I began it thinking that there were these minimums that were minimums, but really were majors. They were high end steps that not everybody gets to, not everybody attains to, not everybody, that God didn't even expect everybody to do. Except I found myself thinking that was the minimum for me, and not only that, the minimum for everybody else as well. It created a very divisive person for me, and it made a hard standard for me to really get to. I'm learning something though, and I hope that you're learning it as well. And we talked about it yesterday, and if you track along, if you follow the devotions inside of on our website, you're going to find that we're going to ask you to read John 21 today. We talked about it yesterday in our service as well. But there is one question that Jesus asked: do you love me? And I think that's the biggest thing, right? Do you love me? Bare minimum for anybody who wants to follow after Jesus is to love Jesus. Love Jesus. And I don't think I can express that enough. And so if you're wondering right now, man, what's this list of things that Conrad's going to have, man, I'm telling you, in the weeks that are coming up, they're fall by the wayside. None of them are going to matter if you don't love Jesus. If you don't love Jesus. And here's the truth, is that if you don't get one single one of them right, it's not going to matter as long as you love Jesus. If you love Jesus, everything else will fall into place. And if you use the wrong type of diapers or feed the wrong type of food, everything's going to be okay. Jesus will still be there. He'll still be able to cover your sins. He'll still be able to rescue you from all this. He'll still be able to give you peace in the midst of storms. He'll still be able to allow you to struggle and yet still be able to say, I have. It's so their minimum for today, right? Or maybe a task for you for through the rest of the day is just simply ask yourself that question. I love Jesus. Right? Forget everything else. Don't ask yourself, do I give enough? Do I pray enough? Do I read the Bible enough? Now listen, I don't want you to hear me say that those things don't matter. But kind of push those aside just for a moment and ask yourself this question. Do I love Jesus? And maybe ask it from Jesus's point of view. Just allow Jesus over and over and over again to ask you, do you love me? And I am sure that if you allow him to do that, you're going to find an opening to a brand new relationship. Because the bare minimum is the key to opening up this great relationship with God that allows everything to change. It allows good news to truly be good news and be the changer of the world. Hey, I love you guys. I can't wait till we get to see each other again face to face. I know there's going to be a party for a whole lot of us. And for those of us who we have not done it enough, this should be our inspiration to make sure that we grab a drink, and we make sure we have some face-to-face conversations, and we realize that none of us are too far away. All right, let's live our life with that bare minimum of loving Jesus and then watch everything else be changed. All right, hey, God bless you guys. Make sure you follow us. If you're on YouTube, ring the bell and make sure that you get these updates as well. All right, hey, God bless. I'll talk to you later. Bye.